Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live session on the Hebrew Canaanite channel. This time, for the first time in a long time, it's just me. But maybe later Tamar will also join us, and maybe even one of the cats, maybe Benny, who is becoming a star on our live sessions. So, hello, everyone. And a few people have been asking me if I'm okay, if my loved ones are okay. So the answer is yes, we're fine physically, like everything is fine. Elik is okay and safe. Tamar is okay and safe. All of our 4 cats are okay and safe. My family is okay and safe. I don't know about my several acquaintances in Gaza because the internet connection in Gaza has been disconnected, which is something else that I want to speak about in this live session. Please tell me if the sound is okay. Please tell me if the picture is okay, if the connection is okay. If there is any problem, please write it in the chat. But for now, I will start. I see that there is already a few people here, like over 20 people here. So welcome everybody. Yeah, looks and sounds good. Thank you. So you are handsome, glowing. Okay, so I did such compliments are unnecessary, but thank you nonetheless. Anyway, so I decided, yeah, the blackout has me worried. Yes, it's really worrying. I will say my feelings and thoughts about that as well. There's a lot to cover, a lot of things running through my mind. I made like a list of subjects that I want to speak about, but it's mostly like raw reactions, like thoughts, like everything that I've been talking about with my friends and with Tamar in the last couple of days around everything that's been happening. I want to start from like I promised myself that I would do the thing that you need to do to have a semi-successful YouTube channel. Okay, at the start of every live stream. So I'm gonna do it, even though I hate doing it. I'm gonna do it. So smash that like button, okay? Smash that like button, okay? The more likes, the algorithm, YouTube algorithm likes it and it spreads it and it helps the channel grow. Okay, I see the amount of likes going up. Yeah, smash that like button. Okay, whatever. I hate it, okay? But I need to do it. I have a Patreon. Right now, I have doing this is not financially viable. The only way that I can do this is because I'm working in parallel in giving like private lessons in mathematics, and also because my family is helping me financially. Okay, this is the only reason that I can do this thing that I'm doing. I want to not be dependent on my family financially. So Patreon is a good way to do that. So I will put the Patreon link here, and you see how bad I am at this. I didn't even prepare the Patreon link, but here it is. Here it is. I will put it in the chat, and it will also be in the description of the video. So if you want to donate on Patreon, do a monthly donation on Patreon, which helps me. I think the link is not good. Which helps me to be able to do this, without being dependent on other things. Then this would be very much appreciated. So my Patreon is the Hebrew Canaanite. Let's see that the link works. Yes, it does. Wonderful. Okay, what else? Please share my videos with people who you think would be interested in this. Tell people about the kind of things that I'm doing so that I can get more subscribers. Oh, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'm now on like almost 5,000 subscribers, which would be an amazing milestone. I never thought that this would happen when I started this. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, and I promise that the moment we hit 5,000 subscribers, I will do a Q&A. That a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions, and I don't have time to answer all the questions because I have a lot to talk about. So the moment we hit 5,000 subscribers, this is something very like a lot of YouTube creators do this. When they reach a milestone of subscribers, they do a Q&A. This is what I will do. Okay, that was the part that I hate. I had to do it. I have to do it. So this is over and done with. I will do it every beginning of a live stream, even though I don't like it. Exciting 5K Q&A. Yeah, that would be amazing. So please make sure that we get to 5,000 subscribers, and then we'll do the Q&A. Tell your friends, and so forth and so on. Okay, now let's get to the actual subject of this live stream. So two main subjects which are very much interconnected. So one of them is that 2 days ago, at night between Thursday and Friday, Israel attacked in Iran. And now there's a war between Israel and Iran, which is really scary to say. And I want to tell you about what's been going on here in the thing called Israel, which I call occupied Palestine, the 48 lines of occupied Palestine, and what Israeli society, how Zionists are reacting to the attack that Israel started on Iran, and my own feelings and experiences around this, and the other interrelated subject, which I have less to say about because I don't know anything about what's going on, which is that the internet connection to Gaza has been completely cut off by Israel. As far as I know, what Israel did is they just broke the connection cable, the internet connection cable to Gaza, which does not allow anyone in Gaza to really connect with anyone outside of Gaza. And this happened during the attack. Okay, so when the Israeli attack on Iran started, they cut off the connection, and this is very, very frightening. And I don't know what it's about exactly, but one can imagine that it has something to do with a change in the intensity, or I don't know, it's like a new phase in the ongoing genocide in Gaza that's been, it depends when you start counting. You can say that the genocide of the Palestinians has been ongoing since the beginning of the 20th century. But the current phase, the current really brutal and extreme phase of the genocide has been going on for 1 year and 8 months, around 1 year and 8 months and 1 week, ever since October 7th of 2023. So much has happened in the last in that time period. My life has changed completely. Everything that I thought about the world changed heavily, and still the genocide is ongoing. And now there's a new phase which nobody knows exactly what's going on. We will talk about my thoughts about this, okay? But my thoughts are nothing but speculation, okay? And on a very practical level, I haven't been able to contact my friend Muhammad, who lives in Deir al-Balah refugee camp in Gaza, ever since Thursday night. There's no connection with him. I don't know what's going on with him. I hope that he is okay. Terrifying. Yeah, the chat is saying terrifying, and yes, it is terrifying. And I don't know. I have nothing more to say about this. Like, it's just terrifying. I don't know. I will say my speculations about it later in the discussion about everything that's going on in general. Okay, so let's start the story. I did like a list of the subject. Maybe we can go with like a semi-chronological order. So at 3 a.m. at night, Palestine time, between Thursday and Friday, Tamar, my girlfriend, and I were lying in bed. We stayed up late because Friday is like our day off, one of our days off. Friday and Saturday is the weekend in Jewish culture. So we stayed up late and we watched some television shows and blah 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 blah, and then we went to bed, and it was like 2:30. And we were just about to fall asleep. We were chatting in bed. We were just about to fall asleep when so Mako Ahmed is saying we can't connect to our families. Yes, this is blah blah blah. You skipped over the best part. Yada yada yada. So we were lying in bed, and suddenly at 3 a.m. exactly, there was a very loud alarm, even an alarm that sounds that was even louder than the usual alarm that sounds when there are rockets being fired from Gaza by Hamas, or from Yemen. The Houthis are firing rockets, have been firing rockets at Israel in the last year and a half. Or even Iran. Iran also fired some. They launched drones and they fired rockets at Israel at several points in this, in the last period. And usually there's like an alarm when the rocket is being fired. This alarm was way louder and way more surprising. And we did not understand what was going on. And then what we did was what we usually do when there's an alarm and we don't understand the reason for it. We go on a website called Ynet. Ynet is the mainstream Israeli media website, like the biggest news website in Israel. And as you may know, and if you don't know, I will tell you, the news in Israel, like the news media in Israel, is basically propaganda. Okay, it's a branch of the propaganda machine that is meant to brainwash and indoctrinate Jewish Israelis, or Israelis in general, or Jews in general, to support Zionism and to support the state of Israel and its military actions and aggressions, and the colonialist project in general. So we went on this. We are now immune to the propaganda at this point. But my point that I'm going to emphasize during this discussion is that this is what a lot of Israelis do. Most Israelis, when there is an alarm and they are alarmed and they want to find out what's going on, they go on Israeli news media, to Ynet, or to maybe more right-wing branches of Israeli media, or maybe they go on Telegram, or whatever their channel is to get the news. They go there, and it's all part of the propaganda machine. And this is the point that I want to make. That this alarm, okay, so when we went on Ynet, we saw what the Israeli military is saying that this alarm was for, and what the Israel Katz, who is the Minister of Security, basically the head commander of the Israeli military forces in the government, what they are saying and what Netanyahu is saying, even though Netanyahu was not speaking directly back then so soon. And what they were saying is that this was an alarm to wake up the citizens of Israel, because we are attacking in Iran, to wake up the citizens of Israel so that they are alert, so that they know that when the real alarm sounds, they will have to go to the safe spaces. Okay? A bit more background. When you live in Israel, it is imperative, especially in times of crisis, and most of the time is a time of crisis in Israel, of like military crisis in Israel. So many apartments, it depends on how fancy your apartment is, it depends on how new your apartment is, it depends on how much money you have, okay? Many apartments have a safe room inside them, okay? It's called mamad, מרחב מוגן דירתי. So apartment safe space. מרחב מוגן דירתי, mamad, we just say mamad. So a lot of apartments have a mamad. And this is very convenient because inside your apartment you can go to the mamad and then you feel safer, even though it's doubtful how much it really helps. If you live in a building where your apartment does not have a mamad, then most buildings have a miklat, a shelter, which is probably you walk down the stairs, maybe to not the ground floor, but the basement floor, or maybe even 2 floors down, and then there is a miklat there, which is like a big mamad for all the inhabitants of the building, which is less convenient because you have to run down the stairs to the miklat. And sometimes even your building does not have a miklat, a shelter. You have to go to, I don't know, next door, to the building next door. Maybe you have to go to like a public shelter, which is like maybe, I don't know, like 100 or 200 meters away from your building, whatever, okay? But in times of crisis, everyone in Israel should know where their mamad or miklat or miklat tziburi are, like where their safe space is that they should go to, where there is where they will be protected from rockets and I don't know, drones and so forth and so on. Okay? And this is, of course, something that depends on your socio-economic status. Okay, the higher up in your socio-economic status you are, the easier it will be for you to go to a safe space when the alarm sounds. Okay, and this has a lot of aspects. I don't know. Maybe I can do a whole episodes about how this looks. But for example, if you live in a city or a town that is closer to Gaza, then you have less time to go to the shelter if rockets are being fired from Gaza. Okay, like in Sderot, they have like 15 seconds or 20 seconds. And Sderot is a cheap city. If you are poorer, you will go to live in Sderot. Okay, if you live in Tel Aviv, you have more time. But in Tel Aviv, apartments are way more expensive. Rent is way higher. If you live in a good apartment, then you will have a mamad, like a safe space in your apartment. If you live in a cheaper apartment, then maybe you will only have a shelter in your building. Okay. We have a mamad, okay? This is very, very good for us that we have a mamad. We have a safe space in our apartment. It's like the other room, okay? which is amazing. It's really, really helpful. Okay. So I don't know. It's so many different topics that I need to explain. So what they said was, we are sounding the alarm so that the citizens of Israel wake up and know that if the real alarm sounds, then they will have to go to their safeties. What is the real reason? In my opinion, the real reason that they sounded this alarm was to start the propaganda machine. Because imagine what happens when you wake up to this alarm. The first thing you want to do is to find out what's going on. Okay? So, what will you do? You will either go online to like one of the mainstream media websites, or you will turn on the TV. And the TV is like hard propaganda, Zionist propaganda. Okay, and then you will see, a man in a suit speaking authoritatively about how Israel has started the attack in Iran, and they will explain to you what they have been building up in the last couple of weeks, how Iran is this close to getting nuclear weapons. They're days away from getting nuclear weapons, by the way. Iran has been 1 year away from developing nuclear weapons for around 40 years, at least. Okay, according to Israeli media, I saw on Facebook, yesterday on Facebook, I saw a photograph of a newspaper from, I think, 40 or 50 years ago, where the headline was, Iran is 1 year away from getting nuclear weapons. That was 50 years ago. Okay, so this is according to Israeli sources. Iran is always 1 year away from getting nuclear weapons. But in the last couple of weeks, they've been ramping it up so that they can justify this attack, and they said that Iran is a few days away from getting nuclear weapons. If you believe this, then I have a bridge to sell to you. But the point is that the alarm sounded, all of the citizens of Israel woke up, they turned on their TV or they went online, and they got a blast of propaganda into their brains. And the propaganda was, we are attacking in Iran to save Israel from a nuclear attack. This was the message. Iran is going to have nuclear weapons soon. If we don't attack now, this close to nuclear weapons. If we don't attack now, Iran is going to attack us with nuclear weapons and we will all be dead. Sounds silly, does it not? It is an obvious lie. It is an obvious lie. But because the system of propaganda was built over so long, over generations, okay? Because every single citizen of Israel has been blasted with this propaganda from the moment that they were born, this works on them. They believe it. They truly, truly believe it. So the alarm sounded, and the propaganda machine started churning, and soon we got news of Israel attacking in Iran, and it was called a preemptive attack. This expression of preemptive attack, מתקפת מנע. Mena is like to prevent, like למנוע is to prevent in Hebrew. מתקפת מנע, preemptive attack, an attack that is supposed to prevent something. This is an expression that I know from my childhood. Why do I know it from my childhood? Because when I was a child, this expression, look out, they're coming right for us. Amazing, Shannon. So this is, for those of you who don't know, this is a reference to a South Park episode where a couple of characters there, they want to hunt wild animals, but the law does not allow them to hunt wild animals. So unless the animal attacks them first. So what they have to do is, before they shoot the animal, they have to say, "Look out, they're coming right for us," and then they can shoot. They need to do the ceremony of saying they're coming right for us, so that they can shoot. And this is the joke is so precise. Okay, so thank you, Shannon, for this. It's so precise because this is exactly what's going on. Preemptive attack. Why do I know this expression, preemptive attack? Because when I was a child, this was pushed into my brain, not just by the media, not just by the education system in Israel. Whenever you hear this word education, be very, very careful, because education is very, very often a euphemism for propaganda and indoctrination. Okay? So not just by the media and not just by the education system that explained to me about the 6-Day War, but also by my parents. Also by my parents and the rest of my family. Because my parents have also been brainwashed by Zionist propaganda and indoctrination, okay? My parents are not stupid. They are not evil. They are kind and intelligent people. Not the most kind in the world and not the most intelligent in the world, but kind and intelligent. Okay? But they were also captured by this system of indoctrination and propaganda that explained to them, when they were children, about the 6-Day War. The 6-Day War. The 6-Day War in 1967. My parents were around 8 years old at the time. They were children at the time. And I am certain, even though I didn't ask them, maybe I should ask them, how it felt like then. Back then, the 6-Day War was presented as a preemptive attack. And ever since then, the first thing that they say to you when they explain to you about the 6-Day War of 67 is that it was a preemptive attack. The Arab nations wanted to attack us, but because we are not suckers, a very important expression in Hebrew is frayerim. I think it comes from Yiddish, I'm not sure. But frayer is like a sucker, okay? Is like someone who falls for that, like who is naive and therefore loses. But we are not frayerim, we are not suckers, and because we had intelligence information that the nations, the Arab nations, wanted to attack us in 67, we launched a preemptive attack where we sent, and it's like, now that I'm going over this, it's like the same thing. So we launched a preemptive attack where we sent our Air Force to bomb the airplanes of the Arab nations even before they took off the ground, even before they went to attack us. So clever, so amazing. David beating Goliath. Okay, so this is the myth of the 6-Day War. We launched a preemptive attack, and this helped us win the 6-Day War, a glorious victory. I must admit, to my shame, to my great shame, that only around a year ago, I thought about this expression, preemptive attack, mitkefet mena, and was like, hold on, because I was reading about the history of the 6-Day War, because, I don't know, for the channel, for some discussion in the channel, I was reading about the 6-Day War, about the 67 war, and then it said mitkefet mena, and then I was thinking about what mitkefet mena means, what preemptive attack means, and I was like, hold on, that is meaningless. It just means that you attacked first. It just means that you attacked. It just means that. It doesn't mean anything else. And something. So I want to tell you about what happened in my mind, okay? Because I think it's really important to understand how specifically Zionist propaganda works, but also how general propaganda works, okay? Because I promise you, in your brains are devices like this that the only way to deconstruct is to like think about them anew, to think about them cleanly. This is the only way to deconstruct them, and it's really, really hard to deconstruct them. And it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It doesn't matter how aware you are. Nothing matters. These devices work. This is why the systems use them. These devices work, okay? This device, the expression preemptive attack, worked on me for 37 years, okay? Or whatever, from the moment that they taught me about it, when I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, until I was around 37 years old. So over 30 years, it worked on me. I did not understand how ridiculous this expression was, okay? You have stuff, you have stuff like this in your brain as well. The only way to deconstruct it is to go, hold on, what does it mean? And what preemptive attack means is that we attacked Egypt first. Egypt did not attack Israel. Israel attacked Egypt. But in the myth of the 67 war, of the 6-day war, Israelis are convinced that we were the victims, that we were attacked. How did they do this? So simply, deceptively simple. Ridiculously simple, and it still works so well. They told them that it was a preemptive attack. This device worked so well for the propaganda of the 6-day war. The vast majority of Israelis, including yours truly, believed until recently that the 67 war was started by Egypt, by Jordan, by Syria, and not by Israel, even though factually, on the most factual level, the 67 war was started by Israel. And still we can imagine, Israelis can imagine, that it was not started by Israel. It worked so well, they used it again. Why not? Why not? Let's use it to describe the attack on Iran as well. We will say that Israel did not attack Iran. Israel preemptively attacked Iran. They did a preemptive attack on Iran. And if you do a preemptive attack, then you can be the victim. Oh, Iran wanted to destroy us. What can we do? So we attacked preemptively, and now when Iran responds, we are still the victims. And if you wonder how Israelis can still present themselves as victims when they keep attacking everyone else, there is a lot of devices, rhetorical devices used by the propaganda machine to create this kind of mentality. But one of them is this, calling it a preemptive attack. Okay, so we launched a preemptive attack on Iran. I want to tell you, like, my personal experience at 3 a.m. on the night between Thursday and Friday. So we were really scared about what was going on. We went into the website to understand what was going on. We found out that Israel is attacking in Iran. My thoughts were, I hate them, 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 I hate them. They're psychos. They're psychos. They're ruining our lives. But you need to do stuff because it's dangerous. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what will happen. So we had to go to the mamad, to the safe space. And luckily, we have a safe space in our apartment. But we also take care of 4 cats. And it's really, really hard to take 4 cats and to bring them into the safe space. We don't want to leave them outside of the safe space because, that the probability that a rocket will hit our building specifically is very low. But if it does, and if Mookie, who likes to sit outside, Mookie is one of the cats we take care of. He is the fluffiest cat in the history of the universe, and we are like, he is the of the four cats. He is the one who has the strongest bond with me personally, even though we met only 2 years ago. Just over 2 years ago. Mookie really likes male presence, and he's very chill and fluffy, so we connected. And Mookie likes to sit outside. He doesn't like to sit inside the apartment. He likes to go outside and sit in. There's like a balcony for the building, and he sits there. Okay. So he's outside, so we can't. So Benny and Messi, who usually stay inside, it is easy to take them, just physically take them and put them in the safe space. But Mookie is outside, and we don't have enough time to go downstairs and to call Mookie, and we don't know exactly where he is, and then we need to bring him. It's a whole story, okay? And the last of the four cats her name is Sissy, and Sissy is very anxious. She's a very anxious cat, and it's really, really hard to make her do anything, okay? Especially to take her and to bring her to the safe space. So we just give up. Okay, so usually we just take Benny and Messi into the safe space. And, we sit in the safe space, and it's like, okay, so we are kind of protected, but what if a rocket hits and the cats die? How will we feel? How will we feel about this? Is it their fault? Is it their fucking fault? You can say that it's my fault. Okay, ACAB, all cats are beautiful. Thank you. You can say that if a rocket hits me, then it's my fault. You can say this. I don't agree. Okay, I don't agree. But it's like something that you can say, and you can make arguments for it. I chose to live here. Blah 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 blah. Is it Mookie's fault that he was born in Palestine as a cat? Is it Benny's fault? Is it Sissy's fault? Is it Messi's fault? No, it's not their fault. It's humans doing all this shit. Only humans are doing all this shit. It's not the cat's fault. But they are the victims of it. They are also the victims of it. I am sure that many cats and dogs and sheep and cows and goats and all kinds of non-human animals were killed in Israel as a result of all these wars that humans created. No matter what your opinion is about who initiated the war, it's definitely humans who did this. Definitely, 100%, it's humans' fault. But non-human animals suffer the most, as usual. And they are the most transparent victims, as usual. And I haven't even started talking about the countless, and when I say countless, I mean it literally, non-human animals who were killed or injured or suffered trauma or lost their caretakers, lost their family in Gaza in the last year and 8 months. How many of them? Zionists can tell you that all the Palestinians in Gaza are not innocent. They cooperated with Hamas. Blah 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 blah. They are absolutely wrong. Of course, they are absolutely wrong. But they can't tell you that the Palestinian animals that the Palestinian, it doesn't matter for animals, that the animals who live in Gaza, the non-human animals who live in Gaza, are at any fault, right? They cannot tell you this. They can give roundabout arguments for why humans in Gaza are at some fault. And I, of course, will completely disagree. But they can't even give arguments about the non-human animals. And no one is counting. No one is counting how many animals were killed in the bombings, how many non-human animals were killed in the bombings. And they are the most transparent victims, and they are the most innocent victims. So this is what I have to say about this. But on a very pragmatic level, it's really, really difficult to get all the cats and to get them in the safe room. We do what we can. And we make do. And this leads me to another thing that I have to say here. I'm going to describe to you a little bit of my experiences in the last couple of days, when Israel is under threat, where the place called Israel, I call it occupied Palestine in the 48 lines area in occupied Palestine, but let's call it Israel for now. I'm going to explain to you how it feels when you are under attack in Israel. But of course, the big caveat that I have to say is that, like, I think about myself and about the inconveniences and bad feelings and like bad experiences that I've been having. And I know for a fact that for the people of Gaza, for the Palestinians living in Gaza in the last year and 8 months, and even before that, for decades before that, every single day is orders of magnitude worse. Every single thing that I've been feeling in the last couple of days is a drop in the ocean compared to a good day in Gaza. A good day in Gaza is way worse. So I want to say this up front. Because whenever I feel the difficulty, I go, fuck, what's going on with the people in Gaza? Because I have a safe room in my apartment. People who don't have a safe room in their apartment, they have the shelter in their building. And if they don't have a shelter in their building, they have a shelter, 100 meters away from their building. Okay. But the people of Gaza don't have safe rooms. They don't have shelters. They don't have anywhere to go. All of their houses have been bombed to pulp. The amount of fear that I feel is maybe 0.001% of the amount of fear that the average Gaza resident feels. Okay? And I've been thinking about this. I saw a video of this Israeli woman. This was yesterday. It was spreading on Instagram. An Israeli woman crying about how during the night the rockets from Iran, most of them were intercepted by the defense systems developed by the Israeli military with the support, the military and financial and diplomatic support of the US, and we will talk about that as well. So those rockets that were not intercepted, some of them hit buildings in Tel Aviv, and this is a very rare occurrence. Israelis usually feel that they usually enjoy total impunity. They can commit a genocide in Gaza for close to 2 years, full-on genocide, murdering who knows how many people. The official number is around 60,000. The real number is anywhere between 100,000 and, let's say, 300,000, maybe more. I don't know at this point. Maybe we're going on 500,000. I don't know the real number. No one knows the real number. We can only estimate. So someone is mentioning human shields. We will talk about human shields as well. Okay, we will talk about this expression, human shields, very soon. In a few minutes I will get to it. So Israelis can commit a full-on genocide in Gaza, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and feel complete impunity. Yes, they will behave like victims, okay? Yes, they will say, oh, we're so scared, it's so difficult, blah, 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 blah. But most of the time, are not afraid for their lives, okay? They feel impunity. But in the last couple of nights, suddenly, Israelis started fearing for their lives in a direct way. I think 3 people have been killed in Israel from the rockets fired by Iran. This is very rare. It's a rare occurrence. And suddenly you see images from within Israel of buildings destroyed by rockets fired from Iran. And now the Israelis are like, Iran is shooting rockets at civilians, at civilian buildings. Look at those buildings destroyed. When you know that these images of buildings destroyed, how many of these images have we seen coming from Gaza in the last 1 year and 8 months? And then you see an Israeli woman talking to an Israeli reporter on Israeli media, and this video was cut out of the footage and like spread over Instagram because it's so, I don't know what the word is, ironic, dramatic irony. Because she is crying about how she lost her home. And let's just say, I understand on a very immediate psychological level. Of course, I understand. If a rocket hit my building, and if I was homeless now, if all my possessions were, blasted to smithereens, I would also cry. I would also feel sad. Of course, you would as well. Everyone would, and this is completely understandable. But it is obvious. I will put $1 million on this. I will bet $1 million on this, that this woman supported enthusiastically the destruction of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Palestinian homes. When Palestinians in Gaza lost their homes, she was at the very least indifferent. At the very least, she just didn't care. Probably she supported it. She said, maybe she said, it's very sad, but Hamas. And quite probably she was happy. Quite probably she was like, those bastards, bomb them even more. So, of course, when people see this and they know what Israelis are like, they know what Zionists are like, they know that the vast majority of Jewish Israelis support and enjoy the very same images that we see coming from Gaza in way, higher numbers. They feel Schadenfreude. Okay, they gloat. They go, yeah, now you know what it's like. Now you know what it's like. And this is like I went over the comments of on this video, and most of the comments were like, this woman actually she stole her house from a Palestinian family, or her house is on Palestinian land. Land stolen from Palestinians, or they would quip Iran has a right to defend itself, and stuff like that, like gloating over the fate of this woman. And I can also understand this. Of course, I can understand this, and I will say in what way I can understand this, with the caveat that I may not be super direct here, because it's dangerous to say such things in occupied Palestine under the Zionist regime, under the watch of the Zionist regime. I will say that I can understand this feeling. I can understand that after watching 1 year and 8 months of Israel bombing the shit out of Gaza and destroying like 80% of buildings there. I don't know what the accurate percentage is. Probably 80%, maybe even 90%. I don't know. Bombing all hospitals, all schools, all public buildings. Okay, for 1 year and 8 months, and denying it, and being indifferent to it, and justifying it, and being happy about it, and enjoying almost complete impunity. I can very much understand why, when people see this, they're like, yeah, this is finally some justice, finally some balance. Finally, these people will feel a small percentage of the thing that they have been supporting for so long. And even on a very pragmatic, even if you don't speak about, justice and like poetic justice and feelings of Schadenfreude and like revenge, even if you don't use any of those terms that are in the emotional realm or moralistic realm, you can be very pragmatic and utilitarian and say that when a group of people enjoys complete impunity, then they have the opportunity and sometimes the justification and the material interest to commit, participate in, and support horrible atrocities, which is what we've been seeing in the last 1 year and 8 months happening. Israelis supporting, participating in, enjoying horrible atrocities committed in Gaza. And you can say that it is a good thing. You can say it. Shin Bet, I'm not saying it. Okay, Mossad, I'm not saying it. But one can say that it is a good thing that the citizens of Israel are now not enjoying complete impunity, because Israel is not only attacked in Gaza, they attacked in Lebanon, they attacked in Syria, they didn't attack in Egypt and Jordan, yet they are now attacking in Iran. They attacked in Yemen, if I'm not mistaken. They also attacked in Yemen. They are now attacking in Iran and enjoying complete impunity. So one can say that for this to stop, it is imperative that Israelis do not enjoy impunity. Because when they enjoy impunity, this continues. Why, when Alon goes into a spiel, he talks in a slow way as if explaining to cognitively impaired individuals? No. God forbid. I'm talking slowly so that I say things accurately. I'm thinking about my words. This is not a prepared speech. This is me inventing what I want to talk when I'm talking, so I need to choose my words wisely, and especially when I'm talking about such sensitive topics, I need to choose my words wisely. Okay, so no offense to anyone. I'm just talking slowly so that my phrasing is as accurate as possible. Okay. But I want to say something about these comments that are enjoying the fate of this Israeli woman, okay, whose house was demolished and who is crying about it. So we went over two levels. One level on an immediate emotional level and psychological level. I can totally understand why she's crying. I can totally understand her sadness. I can totally understand why she feels horrible. On another level, I can understand why people can gloat about her fate and feel that this is poetic justice and can enjoy like the feelings of revenge and they can even say that this is important so that things change for the better. I can understand this. And there is another part of this, and all parts I think are important because I know this woman, okay? I know that I don't know her personally, okay? I think it's because he is a teacher and teaches students, so I get it. Yes, I was about to say this as well. I'm also a teacher. I've been a teacher for, I think, almost 20 years. I've been a teacher in several frameworks, and I got used to talking like this. So I know this woman. I don't know her personally, okay? I don't know that specific woman. But I know who she is, fundamentally. I know that this woman, her psyche is a result of a lifetime of extremely sophisticated, extremely powerful, extremely intentional, all-encompassing propaganda and indoctrination. I know that this woman, deep down, you can argue, you can disagree with me, okay? But this is what I think. That this woman is not fundamentally stupid and not fundamentally evil. She is not. If she were born in other circumstances, I think that this woman, like anyone, I think this about everyone, or at least almost everyone, she would have had a chance to become a, sufficiently aware and sufficiently kind person to not do wrong by anyone, and definitely not to support atrocities. This is what I think. I don't think she's evil. I don't think she is. Aren't we all products of a lifetime of propaganda? This is exactly my point. This is exactly my point. That this woman is no different. She's not fundamentally different from anyone watching this broadcast, and she is not fundamentally different from me. If I were born in different circumstances, I don't know. I ask myself the question of how and why I avoided this system of. I didn't avoid it, okay? Like I told you in the beginning of this stream. For example, the expression preemptive attack that they shoved into my brain when I was 5 years old, when they explained to me about the 67 war, worked on me. For like over 30 years, it worked on me. And many, many, many other devices of the system of propaganda, of this machine of propaganda and indoctrination, worked on me for a very, very long time. I did not avoid this system of propaganda. What I did manage to do, not easily, was to look at myself honestly and reflexively enough, and to do a long process of deconstructing this propaganda in my brain, so that now I am not as controlled by the system of propaganda as I used to be. And anyone can do this, but it's very difficult. What's different about me? I don't know. That I chose to do it, that I had the opportunity to do it. That maybe that I'm neurodivergent. Maybe that my personality structure and mental structure is different from the common mental structure, so that the system of propaganda does not work on me as well as it works on other people. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe. But this woman is not fundamentally evil. She's not fundamentally stupid, and she's not fundamentally different from any of us. The reason that she is supporting atrocities is her circumstances. And when I see, this is, now I'm going to say the most controversial thing that I said so far in this live stream, but I hope that I prepared the background enough so that you understand why I still believe this controversial thing. Controversial in the sense that it's controversial inside the movement to free Palestine, okay? I'm going to say the controversial thing. And the controversial thing is that when I see the comments gloating about the fate of this woman, I feel a certain kind of energy. And the energy that I feel from these comments gloating about the fate of this woman is very similar to the energy that I feel from Zionists gloating about the fate of Palestinians in Gaza. You can say that it's more justified. The gloating in this case is way more justified than the gloating in this case. You can say that it's more understandable. You can say that it's more correct. You can say that on a pragmatic level it's better. You can say all kinds of stuff. But even so, I still feel that it's coming from the same kind of place. And I also know that it's not serving anything good. I don't think that gloating about the fate of this woman is leading us to anywhere that is better in any sense, even when I only speak about the genocide in Gaza. Okay? Which woman are you talking about? So the story was very long, so maybe I will say the thing succinctly. So there was a video of a woman whose home was demolished by a rocket sent from Iran, like 2 nights ago. And there was a video of her doing an interview on Israeli media and crying about it and being very sad about it. And this video made the rounds in like Instagram channels, like pro-Palestinian Instagram channels, and a lot of people gloated about her fate. And here is the most, like let me put it in a slogan. Those people who left the comments that are happy about the fate of this woman, if they were born here inside the Zionist cult, I am almost positive that they would be Zionists and that they would support the genocide in Gaza. This is what I think. The main reason that I think this, the main reason that I'm almost sure about this, is that over 99% of the people who were born into the Zionist cult, the system of propaganda worked on them. It worked on them so much that almost all of them supported the genocide in Gaza. Do I think that there is something inherently and fundamentally different about the 7 to 8 million Jewish Israelis who were born into this situation? Do I think that there's something genetically different? Do I think that their culture is inferior? No. No, because I'm not a racist. Because I do not think about people and other living beings in an essentialist way. Because I know that thinking about individuals in an essentialist way, saying there is something fundamentally wrong about them or something fundamentally good about them, is the problem. This is the root of the problem. Okay? And for example, Zionists are absolutely sure that there is something fundamentally wrong about Palestinians. And this is the way that they justified the genocide being done to the Palestinians. And if you think that there is something fundamentally wrong about Jewish Israelis or about Zionists, then first, you're mistaken. And second, your mistake is exactly the same mistake that Zionists make, and it's just as dangerous. It might not be as dangerous right now, but it is just as dangerous, generally speaking. Okay. So what is the problem with Zionists? Exactly that they are Zionists. That they have been indoctrinated from the moment they were born into an ideology, into a cult that makes them see the world in a certain way, that makes them literally insane. This is a mental disease, a collective mental disease that makes them support atrocities and participate in atrocities and lose their soul. Okay? There's a thought that's been going back into my mind again and again and again in the last few months. My family, most of them support or supported what's been the genocide in Gaza to some extent and in some way. And like I said, I know them and I know that they are not bad people. I know that they're not stupid and I know that they're not evil. But I talk to them about this and there's no one to talk to. They're not there. And there are a lot of crimes that the Zionist cult, that the Zionist project, that the Zionist ideology committed. A lot of crimes. The worst crime is, of course, the genocide of the Palestinians in Gaza. And on this list of crimes, not at the top of this list of crimes, but somewhere on this list of crimes, and if it were the only crime that the Zionist cult committed, it would still be horrible enough to justify the complete and immediate dismantlement of this cult, like I support completely. If it were the only crime, it would still be horrible, but it's far from the only crime and it's far from the worst crime, but still, it's really bad. And this crime is that it stole my family away from me. The Zionist cult stole my father away from me. The Zionist cult stole my mother away from me. It stole my sisters away from me. It stole so many of my close friends away from me. People who I have been close friends with for 10, 20 years, who I know are good people, who I know are intelligent people. I would have arguments with them, okay, about what's going on, but I felt that there were people to talk to. Maybe I was wrong, okay, but I felt that there were people to talk to there. Ever since October 7th, they do not exist anymore. Yes, they are here physically. Yes, they can make sounds with their mouths. Yes, the sounds that I make with my mouth can be, it makes their eardrums shake and then it creates some pattern in their brains. But they are not there. They are checked out. It is
impossible to communicate with them. Everyone who talked to a Zionist knows this. I can talk to my family about other things, but I cannot talk to them about Palestine. I cannot talk to them about genocide. I cannot talk to them about politics. I cannot talk to them. And because every single aspect of our lives is intimately connected to what is going on in the land that I was born in, the land of Palestine, and to the cult I was born into, the cult of Zionism, every single aspect of our lives is interconnected with this intimately. The sad result is that I cannot talk to my family honestly and openly anymore. I cannot talk to the people who I used to call my friends openly and honestly anymore. The only people that I can talk to openly, it is a necessary condition that you are an anti-Zionist if I want to talk to you openly and honestly. Not a sufficient condition, by the way, because there are other cults that captured the people around me. The cult of carnism, the cult of capitalism, the cult of patriarchy, the cult of states in general, liberalism, the cult of liberalism, the cult of human supremacy, all kinds of cults, religious cults, the cult of Christianity, the cult of Islam, the cult of Judaism, all kinds of cults, the cult of New Ageism, okay, New Age, the hippies, they're also a cult. So many of my friends, so many of my acquaintances were captured by at least one of these cults, and most of them by like 6 or 7 different cults, maybe 10 or 15. It's hard to count. I was captured by these cults. When I was born, all of these different cults sank their claws into my soul. The Zionist cult, and the capitalist cult, and the patriarchal cult, the cult of patriarchy, and the cult of human supremacy and carnism. All of these cults tried to grab hold of me. And they succeeded to some extent for a certain period of times. For a certain period of time. And it was really, really hard work for me to liberate myself to the extent that I succeeded to liberate myself from these cults. Would you consider veganism a cult? Veganism is a moral position that objects to the exploitation and the enslavement of all animals. This is not a cult. It is just a position, a moral position, which I hold. For example, some of you may hold the position that objects to the enslavement and exploitation of all humans. Does this mean that you're in a cult? No. No, it does not. Sometimes political positions can take the form of a cult. A certain group of people who hold this position can form a social structure that is a cult. Okay? So, for example, anti-Zionism is not a cult. Anti-Zionism is a political position that I hold. Okay? A political position that goes against the Zionist project for good reasons. But there are certain groups within the anti-Zionist movement that have started to create social structures that can be, referred to as, proto-cults. You can say this. And this is a big subject. I'm not going to go into it. Now I want to go to tell you more about their reactions to the Israeli attack on Iran. Yeah, isn't it the same with veganism? Yes, certain groups within the vegan community have created cult-like structures, okay? There are organizations that say that they are organizations for the liberation of non-human animals, and they might do good work for the liberation of non-human animals, but maybe inside them there is like cultish behavior, a cultish structure. Okay. This is not a subject that I wanted to go into right now, so I will not go into it right now. Maybe this is a subject for a different time. Right now, I want to continue telling you about the crazy things that have been happening around the Israeli attack on Iran. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, my girlfriend Tamar and I went on a live stream, and we were talking about a recent shift in the opinions of liberal Zionists who suddenly started to oppose the genocide in Gaza. They were suddenly against it. And we were wondering how genuine it was. And we were wondering what this shift means. And the bottom line was that we said that it was very much fake, that it was the result of them responding to social incentives and social norms that have shifted slightly, and because of this, they started objecting to the genocide, or at least saying that they object to the genocide, even though nothing fundamental about their position changed. And two examples that we gave was Yair Golan and Tomer Persico. So let's start with Yair Golan. Yair Golan was about 10 to 15 years ago. He was the second in command in the Israeli army. Okay, like the deputy of the chief of staff, the deputy of the commander of the Israeli army, Ramatkal in Hebrew. He was Sgan Ramatkal, deputy for the chief of staff. And the only reason that he did not become the high commander of the Israeli army was that he made a faux pas. And this faux pas was that he said that he recognized that he was seeing processes of that reminded him of what happened in Nazi Germany in the 1930s. That he recognized such processes in Israeli society, and this created a backlash. And as far as I know, this is the reason that he only remained the deputy of the chief of staff of the Israeli army and did not become the chief of staff of the Israeli army. And nowadays, he launched his military career. He used his military career to launch a political career. Okay? And he is now the head of a party called Hademokratim. Let me make sure, because I'm not very much updated on current Israeli politics, on internal Zionist. Yeah, Mifleget Hademokratim. So basically, the Democratic Party, they call themselves the Democratic Party. So he is considered the head of the leftist camp inside Zionism. So basically, you know, the Zionist left, this oxymoronic term, the Zionist left, he is the most Zionist left that there is. Okay? And I think it says a lot about the so-called Zionist left, that the leader of this camp is the former deputy of the chief of staff of the Israeli army. Okay? And it kind of proves the contradiction. Okay? So this guy was the first example that we gave, because he kind of started this wave of shift, because he was interviewed on Israeli national TV, and he said all kinds of stuff against, suddenly he was saying all kinds of stuff, like more than a year and a half into the genocide, he was saying all kinds of stuff against the genocide, even though he completely supported it up until that point. Suddenly something changed and he said some stuff against it. And the most blatant thing that he said against this was that Israel was killing babies as a hobby. This is the thing that they quoted Yair Golan saying. And Tamar and I were wondering whether this presented a real shift in his opinion. And we said no, it does not. For example, because one day later, or 2 days later, when he got a lot of backlash for this statement, he got a lot of praise for this statement from the Zionist left, but he got a lot of backlash for this statement from the more fundamentalist fundamentalist factions of the Zionist cult. He got a lot of backlash for this as well. And immediately he said, "No, I didn't mean it. I am for the Israeli army. I think the Israeli army is amazing. I think the Israeli army is great. It's the government's fault. It's the government. It's the government. It's the government. It's Bibi. It's Netanyahu. It's the government." So forth and so on. He immediately backtracked. So one can wonder, how did Yair Golan react to the attack, the Israeli attack on Iran, which, let's just say this explicitly, was initiated and carried out by the Israeli government, right? Not by anyone else, okay? By the Israeli military, but it was initiated by the Israeli government, by Bibi. Bibi wanted to do it. Netanyahu wanted to do it. Israel Katz, the minister of security, wanted to do it and did it, okay? They used the military to do it, but they did it. Shall I read for you what he said? Because this is one of the first things that I did when I heard about the attack. I wondered what Yair Golan said about this, and I will find the screenshot of what he said about this, and I will translate it to English, and I will read it to you. Let me see if I can find it. No. Hold on 1 second. Can I find it? Maybe I will just go to his Facebook. 1 second. Oh, here it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Let me read to you what Yair Golan, the leader of the Zionist left, has to say about the attack in Iran. And immediately. This is from 5:02 a.m. Okay, so 2 hours after the attack began. A strong people, a determined army, and a powerful home front. This is how we always won. This is how we will win today. I empower the pilots, the warriors, the commanders, and all soldiers of the IDF who are working resiliently and in a devoted way for our security. The civil Chosen Ezrachi, this is like such an Israeli expression, it's hard to. Chosen Ezrachi, the civil resilience in the home front is no less important than the power in the front lines. You must listen to the guidance of the home front command. The IDF will know how to complete its mission. We will know how to stand as a fortified wall behind it. Leftist. This is how Nazis spoke, right? This is how fascists speak. This is I don't know. Only Israelis can look at this and think that this is how a leftist speaks. Only Israelis. Only Israelis. And what Tamar and I said about Yair Golan around 2 weeks ago was, yes, he might be against the genocide now, blah, 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 but the moment that that the system wants him to support what the system is doing, the moment the cult wants him to play along with what the cult is doing, he will immediately step in line. We had no idea that such a blatant proof for what we said would come so quickly. But here it is. Another person we talked about is Tamar Persico. Tamar Persico is not a VIP in Israeli society, okay? But he's someone that I know from Facebook, basically, okay? He writes on Facebook, and he is a Yuval Noah Harari wannabe, okay? He is like an intellectual, okay? He writes like in blogs, and he writes opinion pieces in Haaretz newspaper, and he writes on Facebook, and he is an intellectual and a moderate, and he sees reality with all its complexities and blah 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 blah. Tamar Persico. And again, he started saying some stuff against the genocide, blah 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 blah, and we were like, this is completely fake. Here is what he wrote. He wrote, when was this? Again, around 5 a.m., 2 hours after the attack began, he wrote this. Oh my God, such Israeli expressions. לא לפתוח פה לשטן. I don't want to jinx it, but the fact that we did not get a military response from Iran yet shows us that we were successful in eliminating the high command of their army. Kudos to the IDF. This is what he wrote. Immediately after the attack in Iran, he was like, yes, we got the bastards. And this is very representative. Okay. There are different factions to the Zionist society, to the Zionist cult, to Jewish Israeli society. Different factions. But one thing that almost all of them have in common, and now I'm talking about over 95% of Jewish Israelis, maybe like 97% of Jewish Israelis, maybe 99% of Jewish Israelis. It's hard to say exactly what the percentage is. But what all of them have in common is that the moment the Israeli army attacks someone that they perceive to be the enemy, and the moment that this attack is perceived as something righteous, and as I explained, the system of propaganda will always present the targets of attacks by the Israeli army as the enemies, and they will always present these attacks as justified and righteous. The moment that they are exposed to such an attack, excuse my French, they get a hard-on for the Israeli army. It is, and I'm not using this expression, for laughs. Okay, there is something disturbingly erotic about it. I think that they get sexual pleasure from this. I'm not kidding. A lot of studies, I didn't read any studies about this, but I know that studies have been conducted about this, and I'm sure that many studies can be conducted about this, about how cults in general, and the Zionist cult in particular, uses the sexuality of its subjects to its advantage. It will use every aspect of the personality to its advantage, but I think that there's something there. Okay, like they get a hard-on for the attacks of the Israeli army. Not only their hands salute. Okay? And this is something, so when we were in the safe room after the alarm with the cats, what I did was I went into Facebook and Twitter and all kinds of all social media and on mainstream media as well. I went on Ynet, like the mainstream media website, and I started like collecting all the reactions that I could find and categorizing them, okay, with like which faction of the cult they come from, what kind of emotion and sentiment they are expressing, and how it all fits together. And maybe I can write a PhD about this at some point. I don't know, okay, but I will just tell you like my impression. My impression is that they were all happy about it. They were all like, they all were like, yeah, get the bastards, in their own way. Okay, they were all expressing the same emotion. Oh, hello. So we have a special guest. I think you arrived at precisely the best time.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
What?
So say hello to our
Hi.
viewers. We have a lot of people here.
Oh, okay.
Look, 120
Oh wow, yeah.
people
wow.
with us.
Stage
So
fright.
let's reorganize the shot. Okay, so say hello to our viewers.
Hello.
And I was speaking now about the reaction of hi.
Hi.
So Tamar was in a phone call, but now she's with us. And my first question to you, Tamar, maybe I will not say anything.
Right.
I want to get your clean opinion about this.
Mhm.
When the attack on Iran started,
Yeah.
we started getting like reactions from all kinds of people. I read the reaction from Yair Golan and from Tom
Oh, you mean like
Persico.
on Facebook? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like on Facebook and on social media and
Social
on
media,
Ynet.
yeah.
Okay. What kind of sentiment did you, or sentiments did you see there? Tamar is a psychologist, so she is professionally qualified to answer this question. What kind of psychological processes, emotional processes did you identify there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the thing that stood out most is the kind of the patriotism. And I think also this is one of the reasons that it's being done now, although I'm not sure of the bigger reasons, but people were at a point where more and more people were starting to oppose what's being done in Gaza, and more opposition, and there was more and more kind of separation between different people. And this event, even though it's crazy because it's Israel who did this, it's not like Israel was attacked. Israel attacked, and thereby,
I talked about the preemptive attack.
Yes, and thereby created a threat, which they then frame as, oh, we're being attacked, and then we're going to respond to the Iranian aggression, even though, like, what? You're the ones who attacked. Even so, I was really surprised, actually. I was really surprised by the widespread support from right to left.
Yes.
Of people who just right away they got back in line. Stepped back in line, came back. Well, they got with the program. So to speak, it's as if everything about genocide, not genocide. I'm against the war in Gaza, not against the war in Gaza. It's like out the window. Okay, first and foremost, I'm Israeli. First and foremost, these are my people. First and foremost, we got to.
I support the Israeli army. I can't not support the army. The army is sacred.
Of course, and the heroes, and I think there's kind of like this national pride in, wow, what a badass action they were able to do, and Iran, it's also kind of easy. It's kind of this unfamiliar thing. It's like this amorphic kind of enemy, and so there aren't too many personal feelings on the other side of the coin, like seeing innocent civilians. many people actually said, "Oh, yeah, what's the problem? No innocents were killed." Like they didn't even know that like 90 people were killed or something in that first strike. So yeah, it was really everybody came together, and I think the kind of the nationalistic, nationalistic is kind of like the expression of it, but the kind of the sentiments that they have of belonging to a certain group, kind of like the tribal feelings were tapped into, because when you wake up, I think I'm sure you told about this, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you have this alarm, so you're scared, and you just, this creates a feeling in you, like you want to be safe again, and you feel connected to your neighbors because you're all in the same boat. So it very much creates.
You're all in the same shelter.
Yes. So it strengthens this bond of tribalism, and I think they really try to capitalize on that by the fact that they put this alarm out there. It's like the middle of the night, and then people turn on the TV and they listen to the leaders and they listen to the army top, and at that moment they're their heroes, they're their saviors, because you're scared and you need this kind of leader, you need this kind of person or this image or this kind of illusion of someone that can keep you safe and that can guard you, and then
Bibi is the father. The father figure of this cult.
Yes, and for the more liberal ones, it's not maybe Netanyahu, but it's like the spokesperson for the
army in general.
The army spokesperson. Or
it's an ambulance, it's not an alarm.
Yeah.
I just want to say to our viewers, there might be an alarm at some point. We might have to leave this live stream for 10 minutes and go to the safe room. Maybe there's a chance that this will happen. Okay, so if it does happen, we apologize in advance.
Yes. So yeah, it's really this kind of old, really common idea and understanding that nothing unites like a common enemy. So it's kind of like an attempt to bring people back to the sentiment of the 7th of October, where everybody is just without question, like, we're on our side, and they get back in line. So yeah, so Yair Golan, I think, is a really good example.
Yeah, I told
to be
about
like
this.
the leader of the left or whatever, and no criticism whatsoever in the thing that he tweeted.
Yes.
Only like our heroes, and we stand together, and we're a strong nation, and we'll get through this, and completely justifying the unprovoked aggression that.
Like right after 9/11 here. Yeah, 9/11.
Sure,
I think that that 7/10, the 7th of October, is the Israeli 9/11.
They call it that,
And a question that came up here, and I think it's a good idea to go into it a little bit. How many people believe it's a preemptive attack in Israel?
Everybody.
So the first answer that came to my mind is yes, everybody. But not everybody. Not everybody. I think there is a group that says no, it's not real.
They say it's Netanyahu who's trying to get out of his legal troubles.
So the only group that will say no, it's not real. It's not about Iran really. It's a small group. Okay, it's a small group. As you see, Yair Golan is not in this group.
No.
Okay, and he is quite to the left in the spectrum of political opinions within the Zionist cult. So it's a small group, but the group that does not believe that this is a justified attack, their reason to say this is that Netanyahu is in legal troubles, so he is doing all of this to get out of the legal troubles and to preserve his seat as the prime minister of Israel, to stay in power. Okay.
And of course, there's also the kind of the left, but more the true left, that sees it as a like I see it also as a diversion from what they're doing in Gaza, and to recreate this unity. So I've seen posts from my left wing, actual left wing, not liberal Zionists, but actual radical leftists that clearly see through this and see it in that light. But there are liberal Zionists who see it as another ploy, selfish ploy from Netanyahu to maintain his power and to divert away from things that may harm him personally.
And let's put this in context. One of the tricks that liberal Zionists use to divert responsibility from themselves, to say we are not part of this, we are not responsible for the things that are done in our name and with our support, implicit if not explicit, is to say it's the government, it's the government, it's the government, it's Bibi, it's Bibi,
Yes.
it's Bibi, it's Netanyahu. So this trick, Yair Golan can say this, but in the moment of truth, he will support. Okay, he will support completely.
Yes.
For some of them, this trick is more like internalized. So in the moment of truth, they will say, in the case of Iran, they will say, no, it's just a ploy by Bibi. In the case of the genocide in Gaza, after October 7th, they did support it because
They were attacked.
it wasn't like
No,
the trick didn't work well enough on them to make them not support the attack right after October 7th. So you see, it's like different levels of and different ways in which the cult controls their psyche, right?
Yes. No, the 7th of October was, of course, very different because everyone was affected.
So I
by
promised our viewers that you will be joining, and I also promised our viewers that at some point Benny might be joining. So both promises have been realized now. So say hello to Benny as well. Hi, Benny. Okay, so what were you saying, Tamar?
No, that it was very different because the 7th of October, everybody could see it. There was an actual attack. This is true.
Yes.
As opposed to now with Iran, it's like, where did this come from? We've been talking about Iran for decades now. What all of a sudden happened now? It's not like Iran did something. I mean, they call it a preemptive strike, but people can still see the actual reality of nothing happened. Right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another question that I want to ask you as a psychologist, I was talking a little bit about how the pleasure that Zionists feel when they speak about the attack in Iran feels weirdly erotic to me. Okay, like there is something sexual about it. Do you have like thoughts about this, about what's going on here?
So I wonder if it's people or if it's mostly men. I wonder if this is kind of like a gender thing. I don't know. I think everyone has a role to play, right? So for men, it's kind of an erotic thing of power, and they identify with this nation that is strong and kind of this heroism and everything that relates to kind of
militarism and patriarchy are interconnected.
Masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
It's kind of like action movies where kind of like you're rooting
Rambo.
You're rooting for the, and then there's the women that are in awe of these men and they see these heroes.
Oh, you want to tell about what you saw in that Facebook group? I think it was Mesachot Be'esh, right? With the men in uniform, right?
Oh, so there's this stupid Facebook group. It's like spiritual people, I guess. These are people that talk about I am sending out a wish to the world and then it will come true and whatever. I'm inviting into my life the presence of blah blah blah, and it's all very fake. That's why it's annoying. And they talk about like feelings in men and women, but it's actually very patriarchal because they talk about women are goddesses, but it's very men, women, and they supposedly speak about solving the war between the sexes, but it's all very patriarchal in its own structure, and men are like this and women are like that, and that is accepted and that is perpetuated. So I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but after the 7th of October, so a lot of these people that are in these groups, the men, the women as well, but with the men maybe it's a little bit more clear, are really there to find women, to have sex with or to have relationships with, I don't know, or both. And so one of the things that they started doing is posting photos of themselves in uniform.
Yes.
And casually pretending for it to be casual. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm in reserve duty, and like they write something like supposedly emotional about their feelings and about their experiences, and they're sharing, right? So, but of course, what they're doing is they want to get all these women to, they get hot for them and like.
It's what's called a thirst trap. A thirst trap. In the online lingo is thirst trap.
Oh, okay.
So they post pictures of them in uniform.
Yeah.
And they write something.
And women are like, oh, wow, isn't that?
Yeah. And their inbox gets full of messages from women who are like, how are you doing? La 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 la. right?
It's so funny because I'm like, I feel like I'm talking about a different like species because it just doesn't work on me like at all. I don't know. So like, what makes me so different? And like, it's so weird. I think one time I actually like wrote a comment that what actually that I commented on this kind of phenomenon, how all the women are like swooning for this, and actually for me the turn on is a man who is principled and against violence and has good values and something like that. But it's true though, and this is true, you know. And it's so like, okay, so it's so weird, like why is this something that works on like this great majority of people, and like not on us, and I think for me it's always mostly been like that.
So there's a question: what about IDF soldiers wearing dead women's lingerie? This is connected to this.
God,
I'm starting to think that it will be a good idea to do like an episode where we talk about how the Zionist cult uses and of course distorts the sexuality of its subjects.
Yes.
And this is something that, you know, I have like thoughts about, but
yes, I also
maybe we can read like texts analyzing
really
this and talk about our feelings about this. I don't know. We
because
can go
it
deeply
really
into this
relates in a broader sense, and I really want to read about this too, because there's a lot of there are books about this, and sociologists and radical thinkers that have written about this, because it's not just in the context of Zionism, it's in the context of oppression in general.
Yes.
And it's interesting to
look at me, I'm so masculine, I can eat a big steak, right?
Yes, it's definitely very much so. And there's actually Carol, what's her name? Maybe we can put it in the description later. Carol something that wrote a book about this, actually in the context of eating animals and the dominion over other animals, and how that relates to masculinity as well, the violence over other animals. So it's very much something that is true for oppression in general. And,
yes.
Something
I think the patriarchy is a form of oppression.
Yeah.
And all forms of oppression work together. They are different.
Other,
They are different aspects of the same fundamental thing.
Yes.
And they are interrelated in an intersectional way. Okay?
Yes.
So this is maybe another way to discuss this idea of intersectionality. Maybe.
Yes, I think this is like the main point, which is quite general, but the most true point, that it all supports each other. So then when someone wants to put down the Palestinians, they'll call them, for example, human animals. So then it's in their view, it's a way to, in their view, and also the view of most of the listeners, it is received as such, as a way of putting down. They literally call it dehumanizing Palestinians. And this can only work and only be effective if it rests on the assumption that is shared that other animals that aren't human are of lesser worth. Because otherwise, how could you, how could you insult someone by saying that?
Yes.
And it's also done, of course, when a guy is a bit feminine and is called like woman, and it's considered to be an insult.
I got a lot of insults about my masculinity that is not, that does not correspond to classical masculinity inside patriarchy. I got a lot of insults around that when I was growing up, and still sometimes, I'm perceived as weak or whatever, because I'm not like traditionally and classically masculine.
And that can only work if it rests on the assumption that a person who is assigned male should have certain characteristics that are considered masculine. Otherwise, it's just like, I'm proud of it. I have feminine qualities and I like it. It can be viewed just easily like that. And if someone tells me I'm a human animal, I'm not insulted, because I know it's a biological fact. And in fact, I think like maybe I'd rather be another animal rather than a human. So for me, it holds no insultive value. But for most people, it does, because they themselves hold these views of this hierarchy between humans and other animals. So when they say
between men and women,
so
or between Jews and Palestinians,
yes,
so it doesn't matter.
So this is like, for example, Zionist Jews that are right wing will call someone an Arab, and they use it as an insult. And again, this rests on the assumption and on the shared view that Arabs are inferior. So all these kind of superiority and inferiority in these different groups, it all interconnects.
So there's a lot of comments related to this, like someone is saying, like birthright, they always bring hot Israeli soldiers around the Americans.
Yes.
Yeah, it's around this. And another could you talk about the idea of Israel being a very rapey culture inside and outside IDF, in the wider culture, reporting rates, etc.? I'm not sure how much this is true, like statistically speaking. I don't know. I didn't go into the numbers, but maybe it's true, and we can talk about that as well. I think it can be a whole episode within itself.
I'm not aware of any statistics that rape is more.
Maybe we can, if we try to find it, we will find it.
I think there's variability between different cultures and different countries in how patriarchal the society is, and then maybe there's a correlation between that and the level of rape, and also the way that rape is perceived. I mean, there's more kind of toxic masculinity in a society, then probably there's going to be more rape, and there's probably a correlation between it. And yeah, I definitely think, like, if I compare it to, I don't have too much frame of reference, but like, for example, Holland, I do feel that there's more toxic masculinity here than there is in Holland. So
yes. So a few other subjects that I wanted to raise, like now, okay. So the kind of plan that I had for this live stream, even though it wasn't super conscious, was to go over like responses to the attack from different factions of Israeli society, of the Zionist cult. And there's like two more groups that I want to bring up, or maybe like representatives of something. So let's start from the easy one. The easy one is Habuta. You want to try to explain to people what Habuta is? I don't even know how to explain this.
It's like this. It's like this kind of Tel Avivian bubble, kind of cynical, sarcastic. I'm disconnected yet so connected, yet so cynical and outside of society, looking in. Blog. I mean, it's not a blog. It's a Facebook page. Yeah, and yeah, it's like it has all these kind of humoristic kind of posts that are supposed to be kind of sarcastic, and it's hard to characterize.
So for example, so this is phrased in a female voice. So in Hebrew there are two genders. There's the female gender and the male gender in the language, baked into the language, and Habuta speaks with the female gender. She speaks about herself in the female gender, but no one knows exactly who writes these posts for Habuta, but it's a guy. Okay, it's a guy writing these posts.
Is that so?
Yes, in a female.
It's
gender.
one person.
Yes, I think it's one person.
Really?
Yes, and this page has.
It's a guy.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Okay, so this page has hundreds of thousands of followers. Let's see exactly how many.
But it's written as if a woman.
421,000 followers on Facebook.
And the picture, the profile photo is.
The profile photo is a girl. Okay.
A woman,
this is the profile photo. And it says the description is "זה כל כך קשה להיות אני." It's so difficult being me. Okay, so imagine like a sarcastic, girl living in Tel Aviv, in the big city in Tel Aviv, and she's like, it's like in New York. Oh, I'm so sophisticated and sad in a sophisticated way, and detached and sarcastic, and like, oh, I don't care about anything, and anything is like so tiring, and like, oh my god, like that. Okay, like that. This is like the persona. And it's like jokes, okay? And I will show you the amount of likes for each post. Like, okay, so this one has 15,000 likes, and this one has 16,000 likes, okay? Maybe you can see it. And it doesn't, okay, so a lot of funny posts with 10,000 likes, 20,000 likes, and so forth and so on. So here is a post from 23 hours ago, and the post is, "Oh, it's Yemen," sounded in a dismissive tone around the country. And this is the reaction for a rocket fired from Yemen and the alarm sounded, and it wasn't from Iran, so everyone was dismissive of it. This is like the humor, okay? For example, Habuta did a post about Greta Thunberg, of course, being very dismissive of Greta Thunberg and mocking her. And this is like, why am I telling you about this? Why am I telling you about this? Because it's representative of, it's representative of two things. One is more general, and it is that Zionists have a certain sense of humor. Okay? What does Zionist humor look like? It's always the humor of, the supremacists. It's always mocking. It's always putting others down. It's always dismissive. It's always disrespectful. It's always racist.
Self-important.
Yes, self-important. Like maybe some of you saw an Israeli comedian doing a show in English. I think it was in the US, somewhere in the US, and he was speaking about how all the Palestinians who are the victims of the genocide in Gaza. He of course doesn't think it's a genocide. He of course thinks it's all fake. And the humor was based on the Pallywood claim. Okay, on the claim that all of the videos that are coming out of Gaza are actually fake, and they're actually like directed by the Palestinians living in Gaza. So someone is saying, yes, I remember it. It was so cringe. Exactly, cringe.
Yes,
cringe. I think that cringe is the most accurate way to describe Israeli humor that there is.
Once it meets the outside world, because here everybody thinks it's funny.
Yes, 20,000 people will give you a like for it. They will not think it's distasteful, but people from the outside will be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay? And maybe I will find a representative post from Habuta to show you. Oh, I remember which post I wanted to read. Okay, I remember which post I wanted to read. And the post is... Okay. Here goes. I will try to translate it.
Maybe you can click somewhere that you see translation, so it'll make it easier.
Let's see.
For you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this end of the world alarm was just a preparation, was just like a false alarm. What I told you, that this was not a true alarm. It was just to wake them up and to prepare them. Is this how you prepare us? 3 question marks. My mother wakes me up more gently. Why not write, hi, beautiful. You can wake up slowly, no pressure. There's no need to run to the safe space. One moment, my doll, nothing happened. Everything is fine. Make yourself a cooler with like coffee and milk and like sugar and a cold can of Coke Zero, and make yourself like a nice sandwich that will keep you going. Charge your phone so that you will have a fully charged battery. אנחנו לפי הווייז עוד דקה באיראן ויש צפי לתגובה. What?
Waze is saying that we'll be in Iran. Yeah.
Waze is saying that the rockets from Iran will arrive in a few minutes. Oh. Waze is like the navigation system, the Israeli navigation system, is saying that the Israeli Air Force will be in Iran in 1 minute, and we're expecting some sort of response. So practice breathing and remember that everything will be okay. And then maybe you can put a nice song on the radio. גמרתם לי את הלב, גמרתם. You made me so scared. You finished me. You finished me. Okay? Okay. What is this? I'm telling you this not just because I want you to see how stupid Israeli humor is. And this got like 30,000 likes, okay? But also to show you how childish Israelis are. They are so infantile. This humor, okay, this humor, every joke is based on a truth, right? And the truth that is expressed in this joke is that whenever Israelis hear this alarm, they return to a childlike state. And they are looking for the support of their parents. And who are their parents? Maybe Netanyahu is their father. Maybe the military is their father. Okay? So their parents are represented by some aspect of the cult, I think. And this return to an infantile situation is something that is very much encouraged by the cult all the time, and by cults in general, I think, all the time. You have thoughts about this?
I can't think of any examples right now, but there are a lot of examples where really what jumps out at me is just how childish it is, how infantile, really, how stupid, but I can't think of any particular examples right now. It's just.
Do you agree that not like narcissists, toxic behavior, like narcissists, controlling narcissists, like to make their victims return to an infantile state?
Yes, to a state of weakness, of powerlessness, of making them small, like putting them down and making them small. This is also something more general where this kind of, when there's adulation or admiration of this other person, then when you adore someone else, you may make yourself really small, like, oh, this person knows everything, and I'm putting my fate in their hands, and your every word is the truth. And
so the question is, will the lady whose house got demolished think that's funny? I don't know, because I'm not sure she is part of that specific faction of people who either live in Tel Aviv or want to live in Tel Aviv, who perceive themselves as sophisticated, liberal, big city, sarcastic folks who have like the ironic detachment from it's like a specific kind of vibe. So that woman might be a different kind of vibe. She might be someone who lives in like the periphery.
I think she's not that demographic. I mean, without knowing her, but kind of the impression I got is that she's probably some person that's kind of like a lower social ranking in society. Yeah, so I don't think she
won't find it distasteful. She would just not understand the humor, I think. She would just find it like, yeah, that's not my kind of humor, but she won't find it distasteful, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and one last faction that I want to go over is Parshanenu. Parshanenu. Okay, so another thing that started happening in the last couple of days is that a certain kind of people, mainly male, middle-aged, like Ashkenazi, so the Israeli version of white, Ashkenazi male people, started writing texts on Facebook and other social media, and maybe on mainstream media, texts that, okay, how do I explain Parshanenu? So what is Parshan in English?
Like someone who, what do you call him? Like an analyzer, like someone who
analyst, commentator, analyst, something like
something that. Like in the news, someone who writes like analysis on things, kind of like background articles on what's happening, and gives like explanations of the political and the geopolitical things that are happening.
Yeah. So, for example,
political analyst or something.
Yeah, political analyst. You would turn on the news, and then the announcer says, this and this and this happened, and now we go to our analyst for this, like our military analyst or our political analyst, or one of them is Parshanenu Li'inyanei Aravim, are analysts for matters related
Arab affairs.
to Arab affairs, our analyst of Arab affairs. This is a thing.
So racist.
This is a thing in Israeli media. So Parshanenu. So Parshan is analyst. Parshanenu is like our analyst. Now we go to our analyst, and Parshanenu לענייני ערבים, our analyst for Arab affairs. This is someone who knows about the Arabs, okay? And they analyze the Arabs, okay? This is a job in Israel, okay? This is a job, okay? So we go to our analyst for this and this and this, our military analyst who will explain, and then you see a middle-aged white.
It's like Jordan Peterson saying what women want.
Yes, exactly. So they go to a middle-aged white male who will explain to us in an authoritative baritone voice what is going on in the world, okay? So this is the Aravim is Arabs. Yes, I learned a new word today. Yes, Aravim is Arabs in Hebrew, and Aravi is Arab, okay? So imagine this kind of type, okay? And some of these kind of types, they get a job doing that performance on Israeli news, okay? Some of them are not as talented. So they do it on Facebook and other social media, okay? And a lot of them will think of themselves as leftists, but then they will explain geopolitics to you from a fascist perspective, right? This is
What do you mean by fascist? Like from a right-wing perspective, from over the heads of it's from definitely from a supremacist perspective, or you can also say it's from an in-group perspective. It's all very much from the perspective of what is in our interest, in our security interest. It's not seeing the world in a broader sense of that we all in this world have different things that we want and that we need, but very much from the in-group and what is good for us. And this is just their very basic worldview that everything stems from.
So a lot of these people started propping up and writing, very long posts on Facebook that you scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and it doesn't end, explaining to us the geopolitics of what was going on. And I think, what was the general vibe of their opinion? What was their analysis of? Benny wants to tell us something. We never know. We never know what Benny is trying to tell us.
What do you think? Do you want just to eat? Maybe I'll give him some food, but maybe he has some thoughts on the subject. I don't know.
Benny, why do you think that the attack on? Come, Benny. You want to talk to the audience? You want to tell the audience what you think about why the attack in Iran happened? I must tell you, I think Benny's opinion is just as valid as all the opinions of those analysts that propped up.
Well, first, do no harm, so I think it's better to let Benny speak.
Yes, it's better to listen to Benny. So the general vibe that I got was that there was interpersonal, they speak about the interests of Netanyahu, they speak about the interests of Trump, they speak about the interests of Khamenei, okay? They speak about the interests of the leaders.
And also, everyone had kind of a different take on it slightly, but one of the things that I also saw is that many seem to assume that Israel has this kind of world influence in the sense of Netanyahu is now trying to make the US try to manipulate them to do something, as if Israel has that kind of power. So rather than understanding that the US and Israel are on the same side, and then obviously what's going on is in the US's interest, thinking it's Israel scheming and being smart and trying to get the US to do something or something like this, very self-centered in that sense.
Yes. I think that there is a severe overvaluation of the power of Israel in general and Netanyahu specifically in geopolitics. And the moment that you try to challenge this position, because, okay, my position is that all of the arguments between Trump and Netanyahu were a charade. They were a show that was put on to pretend that the attack in Iran was not something that the US wanted, initiated, managed, and planned and carried out through the cult, through the colony, okay? Using the colony, but that's something that was in their interest. So once you say this to those analysts, I think their reaction would be to dismiss you and say that you are thinking conspiratorially and simplistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
They always say, you're being simplistic. Oh, yeah, it's just conspiracy theories. No, geopolitics is more complicated than that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think again, it's like them using supposed complexity, supposed deepness, just to hide the simple truth, just to hide. Okay, so maybe Benny needs to be fed. Okay, so they're using the fake complexity to hide the simple truth, which is that Israel is a colony of the US, and that everything that the colony does is, in the end, an expression of the interests of the US. So some people who live in the US say 100%. Okay, so I'm glad that you agree, and we look at it from different angles, but we see the same thing. But the Israeli analysts would say, no, it's complex geopolitics, and Bibi and Netanyahu is all in the same. Some of them will think about Netanyahu as especially clever, especially powerful. They will think about Netanyahu as being able to manipulate Trump and Putin and all the leaders of Europe because he's so smart, he's so sophisticated. And even people who say that they are against Netanyahu would say this about Netanyahu. Even people who are against Netanyahu would say that he is so clever that he can manipulate all of the countries, all of the Western countries, into doing what Israel wants. Okay?
Quite megalomanic.
Yes,
like
yes. I just realized how megalomanic it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been going on. I've been going on for a long time. You just arrived recently, but so I'm really tired. So maybe Tamar, if you have like points that you want to raise or stuff that you want to tell about the experiences of the last couple of days, but maybe you can come closer so that you're in the shot.
I don't know what you already talked about.
If you talk about something that I talked about and you say the same thing, I will tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll shut the door as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you talked about this, about how the fact that everyone was so quick to support this going on showed how superficial their supposed opposition to what's now going on in Gaza is. That
they're asking what about the Gaza internet blackout? I didn't get a chance to talk about that, and actually I think it's related.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were asking
exactly.
the question of why Israel attacked in Iran.
Yes, was really wondering. And afterwards, they also said that they're actually planning to do it in April, but then for some reason it didn't happen then. But I don't know if that is true or not true. But I really, like that night, I did not understand. And then, like, why now? And like, what are you doing? Like, trying to start another war? Like, why? And then the next day, when I started seeing all the reactions of the people, like left, liberal, whatever, doesn't matter, all in support of it, then I'm like, wow, now I understand. Because I thought, wow, no, this is too transparent. It cannot be that they're trying to get people back on track and trying to get people back and united and forget about their opposition and forget about Gaza. No, they can't be that stupid that they're going to fall for this. They're going to be furious about Netanyahu, about diverting away the attention again from the hostages and from other things. And they're going to be furious with him. And they're going to be like, why are you doing this? But no, when I saw that actually the reaction was an overwhelming support, then I'm like, okay, now I understand why they did it, and it actually worked, and that's the most shocking thing.
So can you say this explicitly? What you think?
So I think that they did it to. I mean, there's I'm sure there's kind of like greater world interests that I'm not really aware of, and that we maybe don't really know about, or it's just because I don't really know about the different interests of the US and the billionaires of the world, but in kind of the more narrow sense, not just Netanyahu, it's not Netanyahu, but like the powers that be are seeing that the genocide in Gaza really has reached the end of its possibility. Everybody, even in Israel, starting to be against this.
Not everybody, okay? Still, the majority of Israelis are for it, okay? But enough people in Israel are starting to be against it.
Like okay? over all different parts of the world, like Piers Morgan, for example, is like, what? Piers Morgan is now actually speaking out like strongly against Israel. Like, what stage have we gotten to?
Yes.
So many people in the world, and people that are not traditionally thought of as left, even across the world, are now quite fiercely against this, and even in Israel, more and more opposition is being voiced. So now they have to divert away from it. And stir up something else. So one of the reasons is to unite the public opinion within Israel, but maybe it's also broader in terms of getting public opinion in the world on the side of Israel again. Because nobody really likes Iran. Many people don't even know what Iran's all about, but they know they're like Islamists or something, so they won't like them, whatever. So part of the reason is Netanyahu's own personal reasons, but I think that there are other reasons there why they wanted to do this, and the systems or whatever, the powers that be, could use Netanyahu in a very convenient way because it was in Netanyahu's own personal interest to do it. So, so I think that is what a lot of people are missing. They're saying, "Oh, Netanyahu is trying to divert away attention." Yes, it's true, but other interests, other people that are much more powerful in this world than Netanyahu, can use Netanyahu in a sense as their pawn, as their subject that can carry out the plans that are in their interest, in their favor. And we talk a lot about how
they present it as if Netanyahu is manipulating the powers, but it's actually the powers manipulating Netanyahu. This is the inversion that
I think so. Yeah. I think so. And I don't really know. It's quite vague to me what it actually means, but it has probably something to do with, I don't know, like the imperialism like crumbling and trying to move the powers again, the power balance again, in some way or another.
So I have certainly the reason that Israel attacked Iran now and in this way is complex. Okay, it is complex. It is complex.
Yeah.
It is a coalescence of several different things that happened and that created a situation in which it was favorable for Israel as a colony of the US and the Western Empire in general to do this. Okay. And now, but the complexity is that it's several reasons, okay? Not that it's like complex relations. No, it's like several reasons, okay? And
it's not complex morally.
Yes. And I think that one of the reasons, the one that we want to emphasize now, is to divert attention away from the ongoing genocide. And why am I saying this? Because it is a very strange coincidence that the day that Israel attacked in Iran, they cut off the internet connection to Gaza. Okay, so this is something that is a pattern in the behavior of Israel throughout history. Whenever Israel attacks somewhere, the ones who suffer so you would say that Israeli citizens, Israeli Jews suffer because there's like fear and retaliation and so forth and so on. But the people who suffer from it the most, I said people who suffer from it the most, the individuals who suffer from it the most are always non-human animals because they are always at the lowest rung of society, so they suffer the most. But the people that suffer from it the most are Palestinians. Okay? Because when such a thing happens, the Zionist regime has a good excuse to deepen the oppression, at least for a short while. Okay, for example, they will put a segel, a lockdown on the West Bank, for example, or on Palestinian villages within 48 lines. They will do this, and this time they did. They shut off the internet connection to Gaza.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, this was planned, and this is a very, very frightening sign that the genocide is ramping up and reaching another phase. I'm sure that they are going to use this blackout on Gaza to do many things that are even more horrible than the things that they were doing until now, and with less repercussions, because fewer people will be able to know about it, and no one will be able to know about it in real time, to object to it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is a cover. The attack on Iran is many things, but it's also a cover to continue the genocide and even deepen the genocide and bring it to another phase.
So I really have two questions about this.
Okay, 1 second. So Benny is a little bit upset that we shut the door. Benny is very upset whenever Tamar abandons him. So you have two questions. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, the first thing is more kind of like maybe kind of a remark rather than a question. So there's also the march going on to Gaza right now in Egypt.
Yes, that's true.
So one question that comes up is about the timing and if it's related. But then the counterpoint comes up right in my mind that an operation like this takes so much planning. I think it's hard for them to actually say like, okay, let's do it now. It's not something they can kind of like impromptu do it. All the stars have to align and it has to be planned very meticulously. So it makes sense to think about it that maybe somehow it's also to divert attention away from what's happening in Egypt, but maybe not because they really had to plan this and they really.
Maybe it's just another reason in the collection of reasons that led to this attack. Maybe there's like, oh my God, Benny, we're working here. Benny is being very disruptive. Okay, so we've been going on for quite a long time, and Benny is getting restless. So I will say just one last thing because.
So I'm saying the other question that I wonder.
Yes.
Is the reaction of world leaders and specifically European leaders that, okay, I must admit that I haven't read too much in the news and things, but I got the impression that the reaction was quite critical and condemning.
You know what? I don't know what I didn't.
European leaders, other than the German, but like I think.
Yeah, the Germany is supporting this 100%.
Yes.
Does anyone know what European leaders are saying about the Israeli attack in Iran? Maybe you can write in the chat if you know what your country is saying. They supported Israel.
They did? Okay. I mean, or they kind of had like this lip service, like, oh yeah,
France is supporting.
We're concerned, but like basically
they asked Iran not to escalate.
Oh.
Like, what are you like?
Interesting.
If this weren't the most depressing thing, it would be so funny. It would be so funny.
Yeah.
They just say restraint. France said Israel has the right to defend themselves. UK says we hope for de-escalation.
Oh, so yeah, I guess I don't have a question then, because my question was like, was this a miscalculation on their part, or are these leaders just not relevant anymore? But but it seems they are rallying the troops all around. So
yeah. France total support from Macron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Germany, of course, supports this. Germany, of course, supports it.
Yeah.
Pakistan, Russia, China with Iran. Okay, this is to be expected.
Yeah.
This is not surprising.
So yeah, is it in the context of kind of like this greater world war of like, I don't know, East versus
It's
West?
also in this context, definitely. It's also in this context, definitely.
Because I know like during the communists and like the period where they were like, where the US was invading all these countries and it had to do with Russia and like communism versus capitalism. So something about imperialism versus and capitalism versus, I don't know.
So I think it's the empire, like the Western Empire, what's called the global North sometimes, and against forces that do not agree with the interests of the empire, I think.
Yeah.
But one thing that I want to say about this is that maybe a slightly optimistic thing, even though
let's hear it.
It's horrible to think that the kind of thing that I'm going to say now is today's version of optimism. Okay, but a slightly optimistic thing, which is that I kind of see the Zionist project being attacked from all directions, and I see what's happening as like the last stages of the Zionist project. Because okay, so we have the march that's coming from Gaza, and thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people, I'm not sure what the numbers are now marching from I don't remember the name of the place in Egypt, but they are marching to the Egyptian side of the Rafah border, okay, the Rafah border. And this march, I think, can be a very powerful thing against the Zionist project and the ongoing genocide in Gaza. So, of course, it's a performative thing. Of course, it's not. They're not going to, break the wall and march into Gaza and save the Gazans from the genocide. Of course not. But it still sends a very, very powerful message. So this is like one side, and the other side is Iran. So because the Zionist project has reached a stage where they are now hated by the vast majority of people worldwide, and now there was a system of propaganda, not just inward propaganda, but also outwards propaganda that presented Israel as a force for good, as a force that brings, culture and freedom and whatever to the Middle East. Okay. And this is the kind of thing that they are saying now, that they are presenting the attack in Iran in the same way that the US would present its attacks in Vietnam and in Afghanistan and in Iraq and in North Africa and all kinds of places. The US would say, we are bringing freedom and democracy to X, to state X. How? By attacking state X and killing a bunch of people there and destabilizing them and so forth and so on. So this is the kind of narrative that the Zionists are using now to justify their attack in Iran. Mm-hmm. But I think that this is a sign of how deranged, how extremely deranged the cult has become. This thing does not work on almost anyone anymore. No one believes anymore that Israel is a force for good. I'm exaggerating. A lot of people still believe it because they are inside the myth of like Western supremacy. Okay, but the vast majority of people around the world are now completely over the myth of Zionism, the myth of Israel. And now this means that Israel is working in a very erratic way, is doing a lot of erratic things. We did not expect Israel to attack in Iran like that, right? No. Like if I told you 3 years ago that Israel would attack so directly Iran and in such a reckless manner, you would not believe me, right? No. But now it's happening. Now it's happening. And I think that the fact that it is happening projects to what Israel has become. It tells us something about what Israel has become. Everyone is saying Israel is a rogue state. And this sentiment, I think, is true. I don't think it's a rogue state. I think it's a faithful servant of the empire.
So that is it's almost the opposite of a rogue state.
Yes.
To say they're acting in the service of the empire.
Yes.
Because maybe U.S. interests will change, and then they'll take off their hands and say it's a rogue state. But my tendency is to think that this is something that is actually in favor of, or at least they think so, that it's being orchestrated by or being done in cooperation with the US and the empire for their whatever reasons. Not that Israel is doing it and that the US are like, oh shit, what did they do? Oh, this is horrible. And yes. I don't know about Europe's role and Europe's place in this.
Yes.
I wonder.
They're also complicit. They are also complicit, I believe. And they have a vested interest in this colony, and they are giving resources to this colony. They are supporting diplomatically, like we just talked about, and this is all part of this big system. But my point is that now the image of Israel has been, removed. Everything has been exposed, and this allows the Israel to do things that are way more extreme. Mm-hmm. But it also means that it's like the last stages. It also means that Israel is going to do things that are way more and more and more and more and more and more extreme. But the repercussions are worse and worse and worse. And for us personally, this is bad news. Mm-hmm. I don't like. It's bad news on the short term, definitely, because I don't know what is going to happen. We cannot. Mm-hmm. I wanted to speak also about us being prisoners inside Israel
scary,
now.
Yeah, because when this happened, then the airport right now is closed.
Yes,
they moved all the airplanes to other countries, so like we're literally like imprisoned here. Like we cannot leave Israel right now.
Yes, someone is saying you guys are welcome in my home any day, and we really appreciate this.
Oh,
very thankful for this. But the thing is, we cannot take advantage of this offer because we cannot leave Israel. We now physically cannot leave Israel. There are no flights outside of Israel. You cannot leave Israel by car. You cannot. Maybe you can leave Israel by boat, but that's like, I don't know, that's like a last resort kind of thing.
Let's take the flotilla.
Yeah, let's take the flotilla. Going back to you only have one. No, we have several airports, but one major airport, and all flights outside of Israel are now cancelled. All of them. Every
the
single
airport is
one.
Closed.
The airports are closed.
Whenever in the past, like there were rockets and wars and everything.
Can't even drive to Jordan and fly from there. I don't know, maybe. But this is a last resort kind of thing. This is not going to be easy to cross the border to Jordan now during a war with Iran. No.
It's probably the most like probable way to do it. It's probably possible to do it that way.
Maybe, but it's not going to be easy. And and this, I feel like a prisoner.
Yeah, all the El Al planes are in Greece. Like El Al, This is what I was going to say.
El Al is like the Israeli airline.
In the past, whenever flights were canceled, El Al, which is the Israeli air carrier, would still fly no matter what. Like if you wanted to be sure that your flight's not canceled, you fly El Al, even though it's expensive. El Al is not flying now. I think this is the first time in Israel history.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall such a case.
Yeah.
Maybe in like the 6-day war, in like the 67 war. It happened as
maybe,
well.
Maybe possibly.
But the bottom line is that I feel like a prisoner here. It's very dangerous to be here. Not as dangerous as being in Gaza.
Sure, yeah.
But it's dangerous to be here. People were killed here by rockets. We don't know. Maybe it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
So this is the other thing.
Few weeks.
Yeah, this is so what's really happening like concretely here, and for us it's very uncertain, and one of the possibilities is that they're going to do like a war of attrition where they're just gonna keep, because Iran has a really big arsenal of rockets. Yes. So they can go on for months. Like
Iran is a huge country.
Yeah,
90 million population of 90 million, not a weak army, a stronger army than Israel, even though
this is why it's like so like crazy. This is why nobody expected they'd actually do that, because it's just stupid. They can just like really, they can shut down the country.
But not only are they doing it, they are getting the full support of the vast majority of everyone living here.
Yeah.
This is insane. And I personally am terrified. Okay, I don't think about it. We continue as normal. Okay, we continue as normal. But when I like stop repressing it, when I stop like taking it out of my mind, I see that inside, my chest there is terror, just terror. I feel terror.
You just don't know what's going to happen.
Because we don't know what's going to happen. And this I called optimism. Why is it optimistic? Because I feel that the dismantlement of the cult can only happen in this way. Unfortunately, it can only happen in this way. And this is like the deterministic process. Okay, when you have like this situation of a colony that becomes a cult, I think this is the only way that it will be dissolved. And we are at the last stages, and the last stages are
Ilan
the most...
Pape has said that.
Yes. Ilan Pape says in 5 to 10 years, it's gone. And I feel that we are in the last stages, but the last stages are also the most dangerous. Okay, so short term, very, very pessimistic.
You mean dangerous? Like for Israelis,
for people, for
because
Israelis.
Like it cannot.
But as you see,
Gaza,
also for people of Gaza, also for people of Lebanon, also for people of Syria, also for the people of Iran, also for everyone in the Middle East, it's becoming very, very dangerous because there is a force here that, according to foreign sources, has nuclear weapons, because that's the only thing that you will hear inside Israel, according to foreign sources. Israel has nuclear weapons. No one in Israel is allowed to say that officially Israel has nuclear weapons, but of course they do. Of course they do. And this is supposedly. But we need to add supposedly. Okay, supposedly, for legal reasons. Allegedly, yeah. But this means that there is a very unpredictable, erratic, deranged force here that has nuclear weapons. Who knows? Who the fuck knows what will happen?
Yeah. It feels like everything is like closing in.
Yes.
And this is like a fraction of what people in Gaza are feeling for their entire lives, you know?
Yes.
And like the danger, I think for them, I don't know, like some will probably say that like I wish none of this happens, and some of them are probably like, yeah, like fuck it, like it can't get any worse, like we need something to, even if it's like a huge death toll now, something to break this like 70-year siege on our lives. And but I think the for people here, it may really change the reality. I don't know, I really feel it is changing. For me, of course, for us it is changing it already vastly. You know, if only it's for the fact that I feel very much that we're very closed in. We cannot speak freely. I cannot speak freely about what I think.
Yes.
And also in the physical sense, like there's something scary about that idea. Like you can't just like, leave, and it's hard. Yeah. But I was explaining to my friend like how it's like, so why don't you leave?
It's hard to leave. It's hard to leave.
I mean, are we in that stage of like, this is like,
when do you leave? Where do you leave? How do you leave?
Yes. I mean, sure, if you feel like your life is in actual acute danger, you do whatever you need to do, right? But then you're already very much in survival mode. And until you're not in that survival mode, so you're very, entrenched here. Like you don't have a job in another country. You don't have a house, like a place to live. And of course I have the cats also. So it's something that's going to dramatically upend your life. So it's this thing like, okay, are we being like too naive? Or
are we being too dramatic?
Yeah, because
you never know. You
never know, because like if you take cues from other people, you feel like, okay, maybe it's okay, but you know that this doesn't reflect reality, because none of the other aspects that through which they view reality reflects reality. So you don't even know from who to take cues from, what actually is a level of safety or danger, and what will be tomorrow. And maybe in a few days from now, the rockets will stop from Iran and whatever will happen. And maybe it'll go on for months, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll do an episode about this as well. Like about...
There is another 30-40 years.
What city are you in now? We are in the occupied Palestinian city of Haifa. Okay.
I'm really waiting also to hear from Muhammad.
Yes.
In Gaza, because like it's so weird how
we didn't hear from Muhammad.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, like shut down from the internet. It's so frightening. I can't even imagine. Like, I wonder, like, does he? I mean, I say he, but of course, like he and all the other people there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, does he have food? Like, is like, I don't know. It's so scary. It's like I can't even think about it.
Yeah.
The situation that they're in, and like the fear that people are now going to forget about it, and the focus is being taken away, and I don't know. So.
Okay, I'm exhausted.
On that positive note.
Yeah, on this note. Thank you everyone for listening to us for so long. I hope that this was educational and instructive and interesting for you. We had a lot of people here today. Like at the peak, it was like 120, 130 people. This is something that I rarely experience. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you so much for supporting us, for asking questions, for writing comments. Yeah, we hope everyone stays safe. We hope for better times very soon. There's a lot more to talk about, and we will continue going live. And maybe I will go by myself. Maybe both of us together. Maybe with Elik very soon.
And Benny.
And Benny will join. Oh, he's not here. Yeah. Benny will join us. Don't worry. Have a great evening, guys. It's now evening in Palestine.
Here,
it's evening here.
Have a good rest of the day.
Have a good rest of the day. If you're in some other time zone, have a good night. If you're in a different time zone. And see you soon. And free Palestine, and free the entire planet, and free all living beings, and let us all be free. And let us all not be violent towards each other, not support war, not support these crazy things that humanity is doing. Let's just stop all this craziness and start over. Okay?
Amen.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.